Hi guys, this is Alex from Not Casuals, and today we're going to be playing Rise of Kingdoms. So for today's video, it's actually going to be a bit different than the usual. We're going to try and show you guys how to avoid getting tracked by other players and avoid being found, but also how to track other players. So what I mean here is that if you, I don't know, you hit a pretty big player, or you stole a lot of resource from someone, and you're trying to kind of hide and just erase yourself from the existence of the planet. Well, I have a few tricks for you. All right, so here is my list. Assume that you've just hit a bank or something, and you've stolen I don't know, 200 million resource or something like that, something huge, and you're not still you haven't gotten spotted just yet. The first thing that you should do is to shield up, and the reason you shield up is not to be protected by anyone. Is the reason you want to shield up ASAP is to prevent any rallies from happening on you. The reason you don't want any rallies is that one of the best tactic to track a player is to start an 8-hour rally on this guy as soon as possible. This way, if he decides to teleport or random teleport anywhere, you will know his exact location. So that's the first step, shield up. In case you did not notice, the shields are in the boost section. Now the second point that you want to do is leave your alliance, because you can be tracked on the minimap from alliance other players and stuff like that. So if you don't know who to trust, also the enemy could join that alliance also just to get your location. So leave your alliance as soon as possible. Right after that, the next thing you want to do after you shielded up, left the alliance, is to random teleport. So go into your items, go into your I guess it's in the other, and then you click that random TP and you use it. Right there, that's going to buy you at least a little bit of time if you haven't been rallied. Now, ideally, for the next steps, you kind of want to be prepared before doing such a move. I would definitely at least buy a rename token so that you can rename your username as easily as possible. And the goal to do this is basically to hide on the leaderboards as much as possible. So you can always buy Governor Rename in the Alliance shop. They're not that expensive. That's definitely something I would prepare to always have one in your inventory if you plan to do stuff like this. Worst case scenario, you can actually rename for gems, but it's pretty expensive in gems, so definitely get that rename from the Alliance. Now, obviously, if you're trying to hide your identity and just run away from people, you will need to change your avatar. So I think you go over here and you just take something random. And I mean, just sometimes even swapping gender with the image and with the name. If you have a more feminine or whatever name, it can also try to maybe mislead others if you really want to try and hide. Now, avoid joining any other alliance just for a little bit while you're on the hiding, just because if they decide to, you don't really know the information they have on you, so that's a big problem. It's going to be play some mind games on you, and they could track you with your individual power if they have a fair amount, a fair idea of where you stand in there. So in regard to that, you want to change your name, change your avatar, but also if you can, try to either power down. This can be a big mind trick. If you can sacrifice some troops, just send, I don't know, whatever troops to a random city, you send all your siege or something like that. It's going to power you down a little bit. And then if they knew exactly your power, well, they'll look up and they won't look down. If you stole a lot of resource and you have the speed ups and stuff, I mean, you can sacrifice some of these resources to speed up and try to boost your power just enough so that they won't find you, for example, on the leaderboards. Now, there's still a few risks. Over here on your governor profile, you have your governor ID, and this is unique to you. If the guys are clever, if they were not able to rally you in time, this is the second step. They need to acquire your governor ID. So you can rename 1500 times, change your avatar, it won't matter. If they have that governor ID, they will always be able to track you if they see you. They need to see you though. Now for the next step, let's say that all hopes are lost. You've been tracked, you've been found, they're going to hit you just a matter of time and you're not too sure what to do. Random TPing doesn't work, they rallied you, so they always know your location. You have two or three options here. The first option would be to shield up for extended periods of time and just hope that they give up eventually, but that would mean that it would be hard for you to use your gatherers and stuff like this. So this is not really a long-term solution in my opinion. It's more until you find a fix or an agreement with them, or if you want to deal with them and stuff like this. It's a big risk. The second point would be you join an alliance as soon as possible and you send as many of your troops, possibly all of your troops, to a flag, a faraway flag, without them knowing as much as possible. The guys that are tracking you, and you let them zero you basically. Obviously, before you do that, try to spend as much of the resources possible to avoid them just taking everything back. And that way, when they will come into your city, they will just take the resource and they won't kill any of your troops. And they can't kill your troops if they don't know where your troops are. Finally, the final option if you're desperate to have peace again and not always look over your shoulder if you're safe or not or being chased is to migrate. You can migrate once a month. And there are a few requirements. You will need passport pages that you can get either from the Alliance shop or the cash shop. Just a quick note, for if you want to buy the passport pages, it's the New World bundle. It resets every 30 days, so be careful. And if you really want the value of the pages, it's the first and second bundle. And the other ones get pretty expensive and the number of pages doesn't increase that much. Also do take in consideration that your number of passport pages required to migrate is going to depend on your overall power. You can find this by zooming out really far and clicking that little planet over here, clicking to migrate anywhere, and it's going to say how many passport pages you need with your current power. Also, you can go into your Alliance shop and you can buy passport pages there. If the Alliance has put some in the shop, you can always ask them to put some if they want to, although it is 600,000 silver coin. And yeah, migration is always probably the safest route after you've did a big heist like this, and if you're being too stressed or being hunted down, it's always the final option. Now for the other part of the medal, if you are hunting down players, I mean, it's a bit self-explanatory in the sense that you just do what I kind of explained, but you start a rally of 8 hours on the player, you identify, take a screenshot of his governor ID. This is extremely important because if you don't want to end up zeroing the wrong guy, you need this number. Try to identify if he is inside an alliance, and if he is, try to join that alliance temporarily just to get his location, because on the map you will see all your little friends that you can just identify with the blue dots here. So you can actually just find him and look around and until you find him, and then you just TP there and you leave the alliance and you zero him. So that's always a quick one. If the player already loved the alliance and he already name changed and stuff like this, and you couldn't get his name, or he changed his avatar and stuff like, he changed his name, well, your best option, even if you don't have his governor ID, is to look at the rankings. So you want to try and find his individual power based on what information that you know. If you have little to no information, obviously you can always look at the reports, the battle reports that you were hit from. Maybe you can identify his city hall level, stuff like this that can already hint you a little bit. Aside from this, your options are going to be limited if you don't have his governor ID. Now, assuming that you know his name, or he didn't rename, or maybe you're not finding him or whatever, you can always just send him an email. Send an email, and from there you can actually click his player ID card, and then from there you'll have his ID. So if you can send an email, you just go to your sent and click there, and bam, you have his ID. And from there, well, it's going to be safer to know that you're going to kill the right person. Finally, if the guy random TP'd, change his name, change his avatar, even if you have his governor ID and you have a fair idea of who he is, it can still be hard to find him on a map if he's not inside an alliance and if he random TP'd and you didn't have a rally on him. So you might have to just look around the map, just get the help from as many people as you can, maybe your alliance, and just scout cities. Not scout, but I mean just look around and look for that player guy. It's not something fun to do. It's extremely boring. But if you have a grudge and the guy's still like, I don't know, a ton of resource, you're going to have to do that. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you guys found the video useful. And if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Have a good day.